What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's FlexRx episode. It is episode 19. We've been doing these every week for about, almost 5 months. So it is great to be on here. Let's get today's topic going. We're going live on Instagram. Today's topic is one that I'm very excited about because I see so often that people struggle in fitness because they don't have the motivation. They keep falling off. They can't stay motivated. And so today's topic is going to be tackling, do we need motivation, or also can we develop systems to help us not need to rely on motivation? So today's topic for today is going to be motivation is bullshit. Create systems so you don't need it. So how can we make these systems so we don't have to rely on how motivated we feel today, how much we care and are excited to exercise or work out or eat better? Because 9 times out of 10, left to our own devices, we are taking the brownies over the broccoli, I'd say at least 9 out of 10 times, if we're just left to our own devices. So for today's topic, we're going to tackle, what are some systems to increase our likelihood, our surface area of success? So, or our surface area for luck. So we're going to get into this. So motivation is BS. Create systems instead so you won't need it. So the first system that I want you guys to think about. So if you want to lose body fat, you keep falling off because you lack that motivation, or the motivation just kind of ends up going away. So the first thing is to remember, if you don't buy it, you don't eat it. Transformation and nutrition all starts at the grocery store. If it's not in your pantry, if it's not in your fridge, you don't eat it. And a lot of people say, oh, if it's in the house, I can't help but to eat it. Who put it in the house? I'm a big fan of Extreme Ownership. I think it's a great book, but it's kind of like, all right, like how did this thing that ended up in our mouth, end up in our hand, end up in the bowl, end up in the pantry? And how did it end up in the pantry? Because you bought it at some point. Yes, we have families, and some of us may have, little kids running around that, maybe they have some fruit snacks, or maybe they want some, Dino Nuggies, and you're like, all right, of course, if they're in the freezer, I got to have some Dino Nuggies too. Which isn't not a challenge. It's not necessarily true. You could just not eat the Dino Nuggies, but we want to make those systems, just make this stuff more easy to adhere to. We want to set ourselves up for as many fail-safes as possible. So the first one is just to remember and empower yourself that if you don't buy it, it's not going to be eaten. If you don't have it in your house, you're not going to consume it. So you win the game at the grocery store. Win the game at the grocery store. So plan ahead for what you want to buy. I'm kind of that person, and my mom would always spend $50 extra when I went to the grocery store with her. I was a husky young lad. I liked my sweets. I liked my chips. I liked my candies. And so me and my mom were walking down. I'm like, oh, those Dino Nuggies look good. Mom, can we get those? I guess. And I don't know how I was winning those. My mom should have probably said no more often, but that's the game to win, is win the game at the grocery store. And then if you win the game at the grocery store, then you can set yourself up for success with like what's in the pantry and what's around you. And that is what's going to be eaten. So I put also in my notes, you can only eat what you buy. One of the processes is just don't buy shit. So buy foods that you're actually going to be proud to talk about eating. And what is that whole? I think discipline is doing your future self a favor. Discipline is doing your future self a favor, even if it sucks in the meantime. So that means if you're in the grocery store and you see, you're holding up 2 things of chips. Maybe one is like the low-fat kettle cooked, and it's like 100 calories per serving, and on the left is like the Doritos, extra cheesy. And it's like, all right, well, like probably later on, I'm going to be able to eat more of this for less calories, or this is probably the better choice, or I'll go with the low butter popcorn, or I'll go with the carrots if we're going to go like, full in. But if we win a lot of those, in the short term, it does suck. Like, being healthy sucks. Let's be honest. Like, yes, we'd all love to eat cheesecake in the short term if we're just going by like, what's fun in the short term. Cheesecake, brownies, extra cheesy nachos. But when we keep picking the short-term happiness, the short-term, easy decision, the frictionless decision, Long term, we run into issues. But in the short term, if we pick the less fun decision, we do the stuff that sucks. We sweat in the gym, that hurts. We sweat. It's difficult. We choose the steamed broccoli over the extra cheesy potatoes on the side. When we do enough of those, the long term becomes easier. The longer 5-10 years down the road becomes then, easier. So it's kind of like pick your easy. Easy choices in the short term, difficult long term. Hard choices in the short term, you got it better on the long term. So let's dive back in. So number 2 we're going to get into is going to be the second system is going to be just protein. So let's think about protein. A lot of people struggle getting in enough protein, but like if we build a system, we can make getting our protein in easy. And when we get in more protein, we're more full during the day and we eat less calories. And also when you have more protein in your diet and you are training, now some of the calories you're eating can be stored as muscle, which means there's less calories overall to go into fat regulation. So for protein, it's easy to hit when available, when you have it available. So how can we do that? We got shakes, ready-made shakes in the fridge. We got, let's say, the fridge. We got, protein snacks. We got protein snacks in the fridge or the pantry. You got low-fat Greek yogurt. You got low-fat mozzarella sticks, which are like, I haven't had them in a bit, but it's like 5 fat, 6 protein. So I think they're like 60 calories each. So you can get like 30 grams of protein and like 300 calories or something. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so if you have these high protein and readily accessible foods, you can make your protein a lot easier to hit by building the system. System being, protein's everywhere. I guess I'll just gravitate to there. If I flip a coin, not flip a coin. If I just put a blindfold on and then I reach into my pantry and it's like, oh man, I got like all this protein. I made a choice that I'm happy about. You're gonna win there. Same thing in the fridge. Blindfold, you reach into there. You're like, I got fat-free Greek yogurt. It's going to be harder for you to not hit your protein, harder for you to be starved and hungry to where you rebound, and more you're increasing your likelihood for success from having a system, which is just keeping protein stocked and loaded, baby. And this is my favorite, meal prep in bulk. And so I do this, I don't want to say on a routine basis. I am by far not perfect, but I guess it's been kind of weekly recently. So last week I got a smoker for in my patio. I got a smoker, and all it pretty much is a glorified oven. It's a glorified oven, but it makes food taste smoky. But I'll just prep up a bunch of lean meat on that. I think I did 8 steaks the other week that were all lean steaks, and now it's like, okay, if I have literally like 8 pounds of steak. If I have a pound a day, that's going to be 100 grams of protein. Easy. My fats and carbs are low, and I can just do other things. It's in the fridge. My protein is going to be hit. I did this this weekend. I did 4.5 pounds of chicken breast. I just finished that today, and now I know I should have done a little bit more. But I can just reach into the fridge if I'm hungry, and I can just like grab literally like a handful of cubed up chicken breast. And now, okay, my protein's going to be hit, and I have a small meal that I'm happy about, rather than just having a bunch of bread, a peanut butter sandwich, etc., where I could stack up a lot of calories versus a bunch of chips. So that's something I'm pretty excited about. So meal prep it in bulk. That can be chicken breast. That could be pork tenderloin. That could be a tofu steak. But if you have it readily accessible, it's already cooked, it's already ready to go, it's in your fridge, you just take it out and eat it, you're good. You can also do, if you really want to, if you're balling, you can just have a meal prep company do it. I think they do like $15 per pound of like chicken breast. You spend like $75 and you got protein for the week. You got like 100 grams of protein per day. It's like $15 a pound, $15 for 100 grams of protein. And let's be really real. Yeah, I think that's my next thing. But it will be coming up. But let's be really real. How much does it cost to go out for fast food nowadays? Like Chipotle, what is it? Like $13 a bowl? And then if you get guac or extra meat, you're at like $20, $25. Just get the protein from a meal prep company or a meal prep meal. Okay, number 3, going out to eat. So let's build a system here. Have go-to spots. Go-to orders at go-to spots. If you're always going somewhere new, if you're always going to the newest hole in the wall, if you're always going to a fast food spot, and you're just going to pick what you want in that moment, you're setting yourself up for failure, because decision fatigue is a real thing. If we're making all these decisions during the day, we always have to come up with something on the spot. One, you're stressed. Two is we tend to not come up with the best decisions in the short term. So, example here. You go to a restaurant, you go to Cheesecake Factory, you never looked at the menu before, and then you walk past the cheesecake section, you're like, whoa, those look delicious. You look at the menu and you see like 2,000 calorie bowls of pasta, and you're like, ooh, these sound really good. And then you don't even look at the Skinnylicious menu. You got, 2,000 calories of pasta, you got an appetizer, you got a Coke, and you got or a margarita, and then you got a 1,500 calorie piece of cheesecake. And so math it up, it's going to be, 4,000 plus calories. Now, that's usually when we're thinking in the short term, like what is going to taste the best right now? Totally fair to have that perspective. We're always trying to optimize, our ROI per calorie. So we still want our food to taste good. But if you prep beforehand and you thought this is what I do. I'll look at the menu ahead of time. I'll see what the calorie kind of options are. I see the Skinnylicious menu for Cheesecake Factory. I know that all these meals have 600 calories or less. I'll pick 2 of those for 1,200 calories and that's going to be like 80 grams of protein. And then maybe I'll add like an appetizer for like 400 calories. Now I'm at 1,600 calories, 100 grams of protein. And I pretty much am also having 3 things there. Now I made my selection with my long-term goals in mind, rather than just thinking of my short-term goals, have something delicious. But when I'm able to make that decision outside of the environment or on a speedy decision, I make a better decision. So make your decisions ahead of time when you have your long-term goals in mind. So when it comes to this, I'm talking about this when it comes out to, going out to eat and having go-to spots. For me, I'll just run you through some options. Because let's be honest, if you go out to eat, you don't need to get the Whopper and fries. You don't need the Big Mac and fries, or the KFC fill-up bucket, or the Taco Bell, 3-piece combo for 2,000 calories. We don't need those things. Of course, they're delicious and we can. However, if we're looking to lose body fat, we need a calorie deficit. We got to be calorie conscious. So here are some of my go-to spots. Popeyes, they have blackened chicken tenders. You can get those. Also, Buffalo Wild Wings has naked tenders. So you could get those. Keeps calories very low. Chipotle, I just said that it's not like $15 a bowl, but you can still get, lean protein. You can get a reasonable kind of calorie target and still get a good amount of protein in there. There are places that you can think of that it can be your go-tos where you just have a regular, option. When I go to Popeyes, I'm going to get the blackened tenders. If there's one thing you take away from this video, go get those. They're phenomenal. They are a little bit pricier, but they're phenomenal. If you go to Taco Bell, we just said you can get a quesadilla and XYZ and 2,000 calories, or you get 4 or 5 fresco tacos. You get 5 chicken fresco tacos, which is pico de gallo instead of the cheese and sour cream. And you can get that with chicken, and you'll come out of there for 50 grams of protein, 700 calories. So there are options. They don't always have to be more expensive too when they are healthier, but there are options. You can find these go-tos. That are actually going to be helpful. And you can DM me FFG on Instagram, and I will send you my fast food guide. So FFG, DM that to me, Hejnasty on Instagram, and I can send you that fast food guide. But going out to eat, go-to orders at go-to spots. Just have a Rolodex. So have a short selection of 2 to 5 places where you have a good meal. Polo Loco, I think you can get the chicken breast or something there. You can just have that short list and then just go frequent the places where you get a good, meal that you're happy about that helps you move towards your goals. Subway. Subway's on my list. Subway, you can get double protein 6-inch. Sweet onion teriyaki. It's amazing. Or just go for the footlong. And so that's got phenomenal macros. I love Subway. I think it's underrated. So I wrote in my notes, do you really need the Big Mac and fries when you're going out to eat? If you're telling me that getting healthy is your priority and you come back with the Big Mac and fries, I would like to know what's next door. What other fast food places are next door? Granted, McDonald's, like they got rid of their grilled chicken sandwich, so it's pretty sad. But like, what's next door? What are the other options? What's equidistant from, house to there? I think there are better options than, the fries as a side or et cetera, et cetera. So just being really real. And this is somebody who I eat fast food, not too atypical. Like when I'm on the go, I don't mind stopping somewhere and getting something to, eat. Number 4, lunches at work. If this is a challenge for you to just find a healthy lunch at work, one, look at number 3, going out to eat. Just have those go-to orders at go-to spots. You can have a healthy Subway meal. You can do a Salad Works if those still exist. You can do, the black and tenders at Popeyes. And then also what you can do is get meal prep. And as I said earlier, let's be really real. Like these tend to be like $10 to $15, and they're going to have 40 to 50 grams of protein, be calorie, efficient. When you go out for a lunch to fast food, like it's kind of in 2024, your meal's going to be $15 to $25 anyway. Like might as well have it by design, have it with some vegetables, have it with some protein. You can do like a meal prep kind of delivery service and have those, bring it, heat it and eat it and bring that to work. And that also takes the decision-making out of it. You already made the decision from like morning, you just grab something out, or like when you do your order, they can even make the order for you and just take it to work, put it in a lunch baggie, and you're solid. You're set. You're going to get 50 grams of protein and you're going to be in a good spot. So lunch is at work. Otherwise, if you're going out to eat, just have some go-to orders at go-to spots. Another thing this does is when you have the meal prep is you save time because you don't have to cook all your meals. You also get to increase time. So at work, you don't have to leave the building. Maybe you can take that half hour or that hour back to be more productive. Depends on like what your work situation is, but that could make you, or I don't know, maybe if you work in sales, like then you can just bang out another sales call. But that's 4. So lunches at work. If that's a challenge, you have a lot of meals out and stuff, then a meal prep could be useful, or just having some standard places that are your go-tos that work for you. Number 5, schedule everything. This is a system in case that you feel that you don't have the time to train. A lot of people just don't have the time to train. We're working more than ever right now in America. People working 40, 50, 60-hour work weeks. And we're slacking on sleep, but let's just assume everyone's getting 8 hours of sleep. So that's 56 hours a week of sleep because we're all perfect sleepers. So 56 hours, let's say everybody's working. Let's say we're all busy, 60-hour work weeks. So it's 116 hours. And then, let's say everyone's got an hour commute, 5 days a week. So that's going to be 5 hours. So what are we at? 123. We still got 45 hours, 168 hours in a week. So we still have 45 hours to get some training in. And this has been really useful for me. I try to schedule every minute of my day now. Try to schedule every minute because I want to see how I'm spending that time. If I'm saying that I need to study for dadhood, for fatherhood, and I'm not like putting in blocks of like 30 minutes of reading like a baby book or something, then like, am I doing everything I can to be good at that task? And if I say that it's a priority of mine right now to read books and I'm not putting that into my calendar, I'm lying. It's not a priority because I'm not allocating my time to it. I'm not making it a sure thing. So with that being said, schedule everything. Because if you never feel like you want to go to the gym, so gym specifically, if you never feel like going to the gym, do you feel like going to every appointment on your calendar? Probably not. Do you feel like... this is just also assuming that you use a calendar to some degree, and a lot of people don't. I'd probably say the majority of people don't, and I'd say like that's the biggest game changer in my life is just like seeing that calendar down. I used to have the written calendars, but now Google Calendar, it's almost always up on this screen. I got 3 screens. Look at every minute of how you're spending your days, your commutes, your work day, dinner time with the loved ones. And like, let's see how much, if we're a family man, like how much time are we allocating to our family and that quality time? If we say like, hey, training means everything to me right now and getting healthy, where can I fit in 4 hours of training during the week? Okay, I can't do it Monday through Friday. Okay, Saturday and Sunday, I'm for sure getting into badass sessions. I'm going to get upper and lower. I'm going to make it roll with like 2 sessions a week. Or I get 2 big sessions over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and I get 2 30-minute sessions, let's go Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm just going to make the most with that 4 or 5 hours a week. Totally, better than nothing. And you can get this, you can block this into your calendar. You can see really, do I actually lack that time? Or like, if you really want awakening, check your screen time. And I'm like, this is kind of a mirror. So I'm talking to a camera and that's coming right back at me. Like, what is my screen time? Because there are things that I want to allocate more time to. And I know that I am just ripping minutes, just scrolling social media. So in terms of like, you never feel like certain things, if you have an appointment with yourself, when it gets into a calendar, it becomes a non-negotiable, or it becomes harder to not do because you can see it, it's already scheduled, and it already makes sense. It's, again, making a decision when you're thinking of your long-term goals. The next thing is going to be number 5. We're still on this one. Yeah. You'll find time if you look at all 168 hours. If anything, you'll see the opportunity cost. Mark Andrew, I know you just said I'm finding it hard to squeeze training into my schedule though. Totally. And there are some jobs where you got 4 12s you got to work. So 48 hours and like there's really not much time when you're actually like sleeping. However, sometimes we can use some WD-40. Sometimes we can use some KY jelly, and sometimes we can lubricate the process. And so sometimes what it looks like is, what's the gym on the way to work? Because now we don't have a 15-minute commute to the gym because it's on the way. How do I go straight from work to the gym? Not make it an extra commute, or not even giving yourself the time to, I got to go home, I got to eat a meal, and then I got to get my clothes on, then go to the gym, then come back and shower. That then becomes what could have been a 45-minute, detour, now becomes an hour and a half because we settle down and we get back up. I'll be honest with you guys. And there's a realization I had talking to, shout out to Brandon, head coach Brandon in HFP. We were talking about it, and I was just saying, I am burning minutes in my days when I go train. I train 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then when I allow myself to get home, have a little snack, maybe settle into a work block for an hour or two, and then go run. I see myself like I'm getting changed, putting my shoes on, doing my sunblock, having my snack, walking around. And I'm like, I just burned 30 minutes that did not have to happen. If I train, do my lift, and go right over to a track and just all my stuff is in my car, I can't dilly-dally. Because that 15 to 20 minutes that I just dilly-dallied away, as we said here, that can be very, quote unquote, expensive, or like I feel that. So sometimes it's just like reducing these little time costs, because it's often not the big time costs we have. It's those little things that eat away, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes between meetings, that stopping at home real quick to, go to the bathroom, have a snack, drink a Monster, and then tie my shoes. And then, I'm going to talk to Nicole. And yes, I love my wife. She's great. And I would love to sit and talk. But sometimes the doing needs doing. And if we think about, the days of Achilles, rest in peace, his heel, or his Achilles tendon. But Achilles back in the day, maybe he had a significant other that they were homies, like they just want to talk all day, but it's like, I got to go do the work. Like there's work to be done. Like I want to sit here and talk, but I got to go, I got to get the thing done. So that's where calendar time becomes important. So really allowing yourself to be fully present in the things that you want to do. And that's what I've seen be very, very helpful. So I use Google Calendar, and that's kind of like putting a pretty bow on that one. But, map out live your life by design. Don't live and just be like, okay, where did that gap of, 30 minutes just go? 6 is dinner. How do we systemize dinner? So a lot of people think, the question is, how many unique dinners do we have? How many unique dinners do we have? So let's say you want to lose body fat. And let's say on the extreme, you got a family, I got, Nicole, she doesn't like necessarily chicken breast and like Ninja Creamies. What a shame. But, we have a conversation of I want to get lean. I got lower calories. I'm not going to be eating rice right now too much. And probably just double up on the veggies. But having that conversation, we really only have 3 to 5 meals as dinners. We just have to find those 3 to 5 meals that are consistent, that all right, let's make this kind of macro friendly. that I can fit in, and there, the mission is done. The conversation is had. If, let's say back when I grew up, like my mom, she was like, making whatever. And so if it's like the meatloaf or like very fatty burgers with like cheese, and then maybe a big pasta dinner, and there's like, a lot of olive oil on like the food and like really fatty meats, it's going to be tougher. But if, I talk to mom, like, hey, can we do the pasta, but then can we do some like lean chicken on the side too? And I can like, mix and match a little bit, or I'll make mine on the side and kind of mix it in. And those conversations can often like help us systemize the dinners. All you got to find is, 3 to 5 meals that you can keep consistent, just like on going out to eat. You find 3 to 5 restaurants where you got, good choices at that you feel good and confident about, then you can probably roll those for months on end. You don't trying new things is cool, but like in a lifetime of like dinners you cook at home, like how many new and unique dinners are there going to be? Or you can just make those new and unique dinners. Like the added challenge would be like, all right, how do we make this high protein, low calorie density? So also find your go-tos. Kind of like I would say when it comes to systems is you're finding your go-tos. You're making good decisions easy. If you just got a list of 5 and they're all good choices, you're always going to win. If you got protein all over your house, it's like hard to not get protein. If you got veggies, melons, berries, it's going to be hard to not get those in. Number 7, late night snacking. If you struggle with late night snacking, it's often what you're snacking on. So if you snack on chips, or you're snacking on like, chocolates, and then you're kind of like not happy about the snacking habits where those calories are adding up, and it's like, man, I crush it up until 8 p.m., but then I snack too much and I end up over consuming calories and knocks me out of my deficit. It's frustrating, but then it's like, okay, what are we snacking on? How did this food get into my hands? This food that got into my mouth, how to get into my hands, how to get into my bowl, how to get into the pantry, and it usually got there from the grocery store. So then just change what you buy at the grocery store, change those snacks, change what you make readily available to you. That could be helpful because we loop all the way back to number 1. Win the game in the grocery store. So what you put around you is what's going to be consumed. And so late night snacking, stop buying what you snack on, start buying something you want to snack on, start tracking the snack ahead of time so it's accounted for. Snacking isn't quote unquote bad. I'll have some it's awesome white cheddar rice cakes, 300 calories worth. I'll have a whole sleeve, but I already tracked it into my day and it's like, all right, I'm chilling and it's a part of the game. Or like I just set aside 100 calories and I'll have like 9 ounces of carrots. I like carrots, but it's harder to set aside 600 to 700 calories of chips. You can do it, but there's some give and take to sustaining a calorie deficit and ensuring that we're losing fat, gaining muscle, or also maintaining a healthy body composition. There's going to be pros and cons. There's trade-offs everywhere. So we want to just make kind of when it comes back to this whole thing is educated decisions. And life by design. 2 things here, and it was kind of a theme that we talked about, but like life by design is making short-term decisions ahead of time based on long-term goals. A life by design is what you want. A life by impulse is not what you want. So a life by design, you make short-term decisions based on your long-term goals. A life by impulse is where you make your long-term decisions based on your short-term goals, which is usually just like, I want something that tastes delicious, doesn't matter how many calories. And that is kind of, what sets you up for what happens in the long term, where the kind of current takes you. So I believe in make your life by design. So make decisions ahead of time when you have your long-term goals in mind. So quick recap. We got our 7 systems with the 7 things to systemize. So keep in mind, if you don't buy it, you don't eat it. Win the game at the grocery store. Protein, keep protein readily around you and available to you. 3, when you go out to eat, get go-to orders at go-to spots that are macro friendly. 4, lunches at work, consider meal prep or, go to those go-to spots. Schedule everything to make sure that you're making the most of your time, living life by design. Spend your time by design. Dinner, how many unique dinners do we have? Create ones that are going to be conducive to your goals. And finally, with late night snacking, either track it ahead of time or, change what you snack on or just don't get what you find yourself uncontrollably snacking on. Hope that's helpful for you guys. Let's get into some Q&A. All right. Pro tip, Kev. Greg in the house. When you become a dad and start getting baby food, get a few extra for yourself when you're on a cut. Hell yeah. It's going to be antibodies. Sounds gross. Baby food is surprisingly filling and low calorie. I did hear that because there's a lot of like blended. I hear it's like a lot of blended fruits and vegetables. So it probably does add up like a lot of food bulk. I think I saw like one I was looking at was just like blended carrots, and you can get a lot of volume for low calories. And also those really light things. They have like this baby food that's very light, kind of like cereal. And so you can eat that. And I remember it would just keep you busy. And since it's so light by weight, calories and macronutrients is grams of carbs, grams of fat. So when we have low weights, we tend to have low calories. And so that was really cool when I saw there was very like low weight. I think it was like baby cereal or something. And I was looking at it. And yeah, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. Also, thank you, Greg, for the donation. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it a ton. Probably going to buy some baby food with it. All right, what we got over in Instagram. So I'm going to go all the way up. All right, let's see if we got any good questions to tackle for today. Hi, Coach. What's going on, Christy? How we doing? Yes, takes a little discipline. Absolutely. But yeah, my favorite definition for discipline is it is making, what is it? Making your short-term, it's making decisions now. Crap, I totally forgot it, but it was from Chase Hughes, where he's like, you make the decisions based on what you want in the long term. You do your future self a favor, even if it sucks in the short term. So that's the one I like. Yeah, I think that's pretty much cool. Not too many questions this week. Absolutely plan ahead. Yeah, if you make the decisions ahead of time, you're going to be in a good spot. I'm finding it hard to squeeze training into my schedule, though. So when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, it probably is hard to squeeze in, but like really, really like give it the old college try. Like really map out your time, like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. I don't know what like your sleep schedule. I know for me, my wake hours are like 4 a.m. to like 8 p.m. And then I know even 6 to 8, I'm not super efficient with like what I do. 7 to 8 p.m., I'm like allowing myself to really relax. I do a little bit of reading then. I'll do some trash social media or something, just scroll through like YouTube. 6 to 7 is usually like chill time with Nicole. But I really could be more efficient with those times and be more present there. So really want you to, I want to challenge you, Mark, but shout out to you for the comment, but definitely like map out how you're spending all that time. That is what's actually happened. Should have been 45 minutes turns to 2 hours. Exactly. Yeah. So Mark said, I think it was with the example where it's just like those gaps of time where like, and I saw this a lot. This was me too when I was doing pharmacy rotations. I was at a ShopRite. I was in the pharmacy, and I would get up. So the full story is I would get up early. I would do my training, and then I would go to rotations. And rotations at that time, they actually were kind of shorter too. It was like six to 8 hours, so it depended how long they wanted to keep us. And then I would do a second session after. I knew if I go from that work back home, there's no chance I'm getting off that couch and going back out. And I end up going from ShopRite to home, then to the gym, and then I have all this extra time I just spent, and then getting my stuff together. So might as well get all my stuff in the car so that I can just go straight from ShopRite to the gym, finish up that session, and get home. That made it so much easier. So it's usually that gap time and just allowing us that decompression time. And sometimes we just fully compress into the couch. I would say the metaphor here is we sink into the couch. You finish your work day. It was a tough day. It was a long day. The last thing you want to do is go out to the gym. So before you even get into your place of relaxation, your home, especially the couch, I would recommend just go car to the gym, get that knocked out, get it said and done with, and then you can fully relax, decompress. You're done with work. Your training's done. You won the day, and then you can just get in some high protein shakes. Or something. Get some protein desserts in there. All right. See what other questions we got. Is it possible to lose fat while gaining muscle at the same time? Absolutely. Can totally do that. It's just like if you've been training for 20 years, it's less likely. And if you're very, very lean, it's less likely. But, I would say 95% of people can do it at the same time. Even for me, I can, so I can gain muscle. If I'm coming from like 20 or 25% body fat in a calorie deficit, so I'm losing weight, I can probably still gain muscle during the early stages of that, even though I'm 15 years into training. And so with that being said, if you're newer to training, like you could probably even get reasonably lean while still gaining muscle. It's like, how sensitive is our body to gaining muscle? So you can totally do it. Just make sure your protein's good, you're getting stronger. And that's probably your best guiding principle is if you're getting stronger and the number on the scale is going down, you're probably gaining muscle while losing fat. If you are getting stronger. What is the difference in protein intake when you're cutting versus bulking? I recommend not to change it because you get so routine with the amount of protein you're hitting that I don't really see much reason to change it. There's an argument, or it's actually, I think it's not really an argument, but it's pretty consistently seen that if you're in a calorie surplus, your protein requirement actually decreases a little bit. If you're in a surplus, protein needs decrease a little bit. When you're cutting, you want a little bit extra protein just because I guess there's more catabolic signaling. You're in a deficit. There's more protein turnover just because you have less nutrients in you. So I'd say in this case, let's say it could be like 10% less. So like if your protein in a cut would be good at 180, you could probably get away with like 165, 170 when bulking grams. But I would say generally just do like your lean body mass. 1 gram per pound lean body mass is a pretty good place to be. I like 1 gram per pound of ideal or goal weight. And then I'd say if you're very advanced, you have a lot of muscle, then you can go 1 gram per pound body weight or so. I go a little extra on protein. I'm pretty lean at 215. I still shoot for like 250 grams. And so if you're a relatively lean, let's say like 170, you can do like 170 to like, probably 155 grams and you're solid. And I really don't change my protein target when I'm cutting or bulking. But you can probably have a little bit less protein when bulking, but also you have more calories to play with anyway. So like your carbs are already up and then you just have more carbs on top of more carbs. I'm like, I don't know. I personally just like to have the protein high throughout. Hey, from CT, I lost 50 pounds with exercise and eating in a deficit. Awesome. The last 10 pounds I want to lose is difficult. Any advice? Yeah, that's how it is. The next pound is always the hardest to lose. So let me pull this up. I'll just give you a little what I would do. So the first 50 probably is hard. The first 10 was easy. For the second 10, probably, more challenging, but still relatively easy compared to that, the 50th pound. So the next pound is always the hardest to lose. That's typically how it is just because diminishing returns and our body kind of fights us. But then you just gotta, you've been in a calorie deficit. The last 10 pounds I want to lose is difficult. Any advice? And it's probably, you're no stranger to success in weight loss. So it's probably just going to be reconfirming what you already know and believe. But sometimes we just need to have permission, and hopefully there's that permission for you. So you lost 50 pounds. So I'd say your protein intake, keep high and at goal weight or so, like around goal weight, be that like a pretty lean weight. So protein intake, keep that where it is. Weigh in daily. And I would say this is the big one. It's going to be, what is your average daily calorie intake? And then you're going to get a number. So what is your average calorie intake number? And so what got you here won't get you there. So things need to change as we lose weight, because you lose body mass, less energy expensive. So as you lose weight, you just have less body mass you're moving and going through day-to-day tasks. You burn less calories now. You move a smaller body mass. So movement is less energy expensive. So fueling a smaller body mass is less energy expensive, and then just moving a smaller body mass it costs less too. If you're driving a Hummer around, you're going to rip gas. If you're driving a Prius, like I think they're electric, but if it ran on gas, you'd be spending less gas. And so for these reasons, you will need less calories to maintain weight. So need less calories to re-establish a deficit. So you're probably just going to have to decrease your calories. And that's kind of what it is. And it does get ugly. It gets very ugly. When I've done my contest preps and I've lost over 30 pounds, like 35 pounds, I've gone from like around 230 and I compete at like 190, 195-ish. I think I've even touched 189. Yeah, sometimes it gets very ugly. For me, 6'2" and having now 15 years of training experience, 3,500 plus workouts, I even need to get into like the 16 to 1,700 calories per day range. And so if somebody weighs 50 pounds less than me, it's not unlikely that they have to get in that 1,200 to 1,600 daily calorie range. It gets ugly. It for sure gets ugly. But here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Fat loss isn't meant to be forever. It's a fat loss phase. Once the job is done, do what it takes to get the job done, and then you're going to be able to bring up the calories after. So that's what I usually say to our clients in HFP. Hey, we're ripping the Band-Aid. Let's get the job done. And once the job's done, we can bring calories up slowly. And we have some of our clients that are down 40 plus pounds. And by the time they lose that weight, and then we get to move into a lean massing phase or really prioritize performance, now they're up eating more food than they were when they were 40 pounds heavier, and they're maintaining a leaner body weight. So there's potential there once you like allow yourself to work back up and keep those high active habits in. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for your questions. Really great questions. Best of luck to you, Delder977. Thank you. It's tough, but the payoff has been great. Congrats on losing 50 pounds. You're crushing it. Best of luck on the 60th pounds. Shoot me a DM if you have more questions. But thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you guys all next time. Bye.